Hi, friends and fellow viewers. Welcome to yet another episode of Coffee Conversation powered by Lions Group of Mumbai Shining, the Emerging India Forum, TIFF, and India Business Group, Chamber of Commerce, IBG. The theme for today's conversation is My Business, My Profession, and My Growth. Today, Mr. Mansoor Thakral and I, Jolly Singh, will be hosting and co-hosting this conversation respectively. For our today's coffee conversation, we have today with us Mr. Mithilesh, who is a peak performance coach and life transformation strategist. Mr. Mithilesh is the founder and performance coach at Center for Excellence in Performance. He has an experience of 14 years in performance coaching, helping clients to get into the peak performance state, also referred to as flow. His intention is always to make his clients realize their potential and cultivate a habit of full potential. He coaches business owners, individuals, leaders, sportsmen to perform better and has mastered the science of how the mind mechanism can be used to advantage. We welcome you, sir. Now, let's get started with our today's conversation. Over to you, Mansoor.
Right. All right, Mithilesh. So it's great pleasure to have you with us. So
thank you so much for
yes, right. So before we jump into the conversation, the terms peak performance coach, like we have heard all sorts of coaches, sir. So can you please give us an in-depth of what exactly does a peak performance coach do?
Okay. Well, I'll keep it very simple.
Yeah.
Because it can be very technical as well. I would rather keep it simple for everyone to understand. And it's a very simple logic. See, my experience of talking to people for years, and it's not just the last 14, 15 years of coaching, but for years, like I'm 53 now. And what I have seen is something very funny. Every person who is obese knows what to do to lose weight. Every person going through a bad relationship knows what to do to improve the relation. Every leader knows what to do to become a better leader. And every businessman knows what to do to double the business in a year. They literally know it. I'll come back to that. But the funny part is they'll do nothing. Actually.
Right.
They know it all and do nothing. This is a fact for every single person on the face of this earth. There is a gap. The gap, I call it the knowing-doing gap. There is a big gap between what you know and what you do. That's performance. Right?
Okay.
Life is not about knowledge. Life is about action. Isn't it?
It is, yes.
So
Sir.
people have all the knowledge in the world. And there are people who say we live in a knowledge economy. Yes, you live in a knowledge economy. Whatever knowledge you need is at the tip of a finger. You go Google it out, you go to YouTube and you have amazing information. Everything. You want to make a business plan, go Google. They'll teach you how to make a business plan. You want to design your marketing, go Google. They'll teach you how to design marketing. You want to improve your sales, go Google. They'll teach you in videos how to improve the sales. The fact is, after watching all these videos, what is happening is it is adding to frustration. Reason simple. What about the gap? The gap between knowing and doing. That is called a performance gap. I'm keeping it very simple at this point of time. And this is called a performance gap. So once you start breaching this gap, you start doing what you know, you start growing, isn't it?
Right.
So it's in a very simple terms, I would put it, the knowing-doing gap is a performance gap. And the moment you breach the gap, and the fact is, the gap for people is like huge. People execute maybe 1% or 2% of all the knowledge they have. The rest is there with them, adding on to the frustration. Frustration because they know it all, but still they don't see results. So results is not about knowing all. Results is about knowing half and doing half. You get 100% results, honestly.
Right.
So it's a gap. It's called the knowing doing gap. You bridge this gap and you start growing instantly. Like there is no waiting period. You just start growing instantly from this point of time. The moment you start bridging the gap. That's a performance gap. So keeping it very simple, this is what performance is all about.
All right. So filling up the performance gap.
Yeah.
Okay.
Performance gap, but see, everyone knows performance gap. But
Mhm.
very few people understand that this is a knowing doing gap. They
Right.
know it all and they don't do it. That's a huge gap. As I said, every person who is hobbies knows what to do to lose weight. They will never do it. Every business, like last 15 years, whenever I meet business owners, I ask them the same question. I tell them to take a pen and a paper and write down 5 things. If I do these 5 things, my business doubles in a year. And believe me, in this all these years, I have not come across a single person who couldn't write these 5 points. They know it,
Okay.
right? I've come across people who could write 7, 8, 10, 12 points. I do this, my business doubles in a year. Now, who's stopping you? Do it. The challenge is execution. You having knowledge and executing knowledge are 2 different things. So that's what the gap is. The knowing doing gap or the strategy execution gap, or we call it the performance gap. You fill this gap and you start growing instantly. That's what I've been doing. Yeah.
Okay. No, but as you're talking about the performance, like filling the performance gap. So like you're saying everyone knows how to like sort out their lives and clear their lives and get things better performing. So but then why do people like not able to see it? Like, कि ये करने से ये हो सकता है. What is that one thing that like you're saying it so beautifully, sir. So just want to understand it. How does that work? Like as you said, like you've asked people to like write down things, they've jotted down to you. मतलब उन्होंने अपनी बीमारी का खुद से इलाज कर दिया है. So then why they क्यों नहीं कर सकते sir? Like what is exactly the issue stopping these people back?
See, the exact issue, I mean, simple. Performance is a mindset.
Okay.
Nothing else. Performance is nothing else but a mindset.
Mm-hmm.
You get into a definite mindset which allows you to act, which allows you to perform. Understand. The basic understanding is missing. Action is a byproduct. Action is a byproduct, right? No one can act consciously. And people live in a myth. You want to do something, they write the action steps and they go for it. But action is a byproduct. You cannot act. Action follows the mindset. Action matches the mindset. Action is a byproduct of the mindset. It's like if you want what is that like अगर दूध का मलाई चाहिए, ठीक है, तो दूध का मलाई कैसे बनेगा? Malai is not a product. Malai is a byproduct of boiling the milk and cooling it down.
Yes.
The byproduct is the cream. The rule applies to action. Action is a byproduct of the state of mind. Just like you cannot get Malai directly, you cannot get action directly. It is a byproduct of the state of mind. That is why people know it all, but they cannot get into that mindset which allows the action. That is the only one reason. There is no other reason on the face of this earth. Action is a byproduct. People live in a myth that I do. I'm sorry, no one can do nothing. Action is a byproduct. Till the time you don't come from this understanding that action is a byproduct, now you know what I can actually do to get into the right action. This is the only one thing which stops people from growing, literally. This is what I have learned in the last 15 years working with people.
Yeah. So like when we talk about like mindset and then action, so बहुत सारे लोग हैं like in the world who are doing a lot of multitasking, sir. So like you, for instance, so like you're obviously into like you've been into sports, you've been a coach of sales, you've been into like business coaching and everything. So kahin na kahin, like जब भी business owners like आते हैं या where we had past people also on the show, they've always said like we do multitasking, we do this, we do that, और बहुत सारी चीजें होती हैं उन लोग के बीच में sir. And they all say that we are doing it, we are multitasking into many things. That is why some things lack out. But sir, you're a perfect example here right now. So who has done it all? So sir, then how are you able to multitask everything and like be at that podium today and like even talk to people like sab possible hai? How is it possible for you, sir?
Okay, fine. It's an amazing question, but you look at my profile. I mean, it seems that I'm multitasking.
Yes.
It looks like, but the fact is, I'm doing the same thing. There is only one area, that is sales, in which I do something different. Other than that, I do the same thing. So I'll again keep it simple. It can be very complex and complicated, but I prefer keeping things simple. So to do anything, we need strength.
Right.
This is a rule. Right. So the Indian philosophy, I don't follow the philosophy which come from the books published in the West. I come from 101% Indian philosophy. Right. We have three strengths. Now the first strength, we call it Sharirik Bal, that is physical strength.
Physical strength, yes.
The second strength we have is Mansik Bal, that is the strength of the mind. And the third strength we have is Atma Bal, that is the strength of the soul. There are three strengths. There is no fourth strength available. That's all. Okay. Now, understand this. So if you want to achieve results, you have to be strong in these three aspects. Physical strength, and strength of the body, strength of the mind, and strength of the soul. So how do you get stronger on these three aspects? So when you talk of the physical strength, you have to work on physical fitness. Now, physical fitness changes depending on the job profile. Right? In sports, physical fitness changing depending on the sports you play. If you are running a marathon, the physical fitness required is different than running a sprint. So physical fitness keeps on changing. That's not my area of work. Then comes the strength of the mind. You work on that. There are two aspects. You need to improve your mental fitness. You need to improve your physical fitness. So these are the two areas where you need to work and improve. And the third area is the strength of the soul. Now you need to work on your spiritual fitness. And the rule is, if you are fit in these four dimensions of fitness, physical fitness, mental fitness, emotional fitness, and spiritual fitness, you are a high performer. This is a thumb rule. Right? And I have been talking about this since 1995.
Okay.
I got into corporate training career in 1995. So it's like 27 years of corporate trainings and then 15 years of coaching. Right. But what happens is, once I was talking about this concept from this perspective of three strengths. Honestly, people they were not following me, or rather they were not keen about it. But from the day I started quoting Harvard Business Review, if you want, you can just Google it out. In a 2008 January edition of Harvard Business Review. In this, you will come across an article. It's called Making of a Corporate Athlete. Jim and Tony, these are two sports psychologists who did a big study where they studied a lot of executives and a lot of sportsmen. And what they concluded is fitness is a four-dimensional model: physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual. And a person who is fit in all these four dimensions is always a high performer, whether corporate executive or sports. Right? Whether a housewife or a politician, whether a chef or an actor, model, dancer, whether a mentor or a coach or a trainer or a businessman. The rule is a person who is fit in these four dimensions is always a high performer. Physical fitness varies depending on the task, depending on your job profile. But now this is an amazing understanding. But the requirement of mental, emotional, and spiritual fitness is the same. Whether you are a sportsman or a businessman or a politician or an actor or a model or a dancer or a housewife or a coach or a motivational speaker or a trainer, or you are just a corporate executive, whatever you do, the requirement of mental, emotional, and spiritual fitness is the same. So I do the same thing.
Okay. Okay. So
When I talk of business,
you will have to elaborate
when
this right now, because
yes,
the point is, sir, you said you're doing everything the same, and it's really got me curious now, sir. So how is it
yes.
same? We really need that explanation now. Please go ahead. Yes.
See, let me tell you something. Now let's
Yes.
talk of just one aspect of life. Now, whether sports or business or any aspect of life, one big aspect is called decision.
Yes.
Decision, right? So there are two ingredients of a decision. One is focus and the other is state of mind. Focus is always long term. State of mind is now, in the present moment. When you are taking the decision, what is your mindset now? Focus is about mental fitness. Understand? State of mind now is about emotional fitness.
Mhm.
So you need to be fit mentally and emotionally to take a good decision. If you are unfit, either mentally or physical or emotionally, you will never be able to make a good decision. Right? Now, what happens when you add spiritual fitness to this?
Mhm.
So with focus and the state of mind now, what comes in is called intuition or the hunch or the gut feeling. Now, the quality of a decision just go to the next level. So just to take a good decision, you need to be fit in three aspects: mental, emotional, and spiritually. You need to be really fit to take a good decision. This is where everything begins. Forget about action. Okay. It begins from a decision. And without being fit in these three dimensions, no one can take a good decision. It's not possible. So I do the same.
Okay.
Hope you get it now.
And I'm getting it, sir.
Right? So even for a sports person, they need to take a lot of decisions while playing, isn't it?
Yeah, they have to. Yes.
For a businessman, there are n number of decisions they take throughout the day, isn't it?
It is.
So the moment you get into these three fitnesses, your decisions improve. And then again about action, you need to be fit in these three dimensions so that your action improves. Action is more about emotional fitness. Okay, I was once invited to a speakers forum. The forum is like about upcoming speakers, like who want to practice public speaking. So this happens in my city once a month, and like I was invited there to just see and suggest corrections. So now what happens is, like, the topic that they had announced was destiny, was thoughts convert into destiny. Thoughts convert into destiny. It was an amazing topic announced, and all the speakers were told to come with a 3-minute speech, prepared, and then present it. They had a mic, they had a poem, they had a stage, like audience, everything was in place. So there were 13 speakers. So after these 13 people spoke, I just requested, can I speak on the same topic? They said, fine. But I said, I want the timer on. I'll also be finishing in 3 minutes. Right. So I went on the stage, and the first thing is I counted. There were 51 people in the audience. I began with a question. Why did you guys come? Why did you waste 1 hour of your life?
Okay.
There was no big time trainer, speaker, coach, like transformational speaker who would give you a shift. You literally wasted 1 hour of your life. Why did you come? After a space of like 10-15 seconds, like there was one hand which like just wasted. Sir, I came to speak. I said, good. And eventually every hand like raised. Sir, we came to speak. He said, wonderful. If thoughts convert into destiny, everyone came with the same thought of speaking from the podium, then everyone should have been there.
Right.
Because everyone came with the same thought. And all the 13 speakers advocated the philosophy. thoughts convert into destiny. They all gave the example of so many different, great people and their quotes, and they explained it from this perspective. That thoughts convert. I say never. It does not happen. If it's happened, there should have been 51 speakers. Why only 14 speakers out of 51, including me? Hence, proved thoughts don't convert into destiny.
They don't. Yes.
The equation is not wrong. It is incomplete. Thoughts convert into emotion. For people, the thought of speaking on the stage, it got converted into confidence and excitement. They could speak. And for the remaining, the same thought got converted into fear. They could not even stand up and register their names. So thoughts, they don't convert into destiny. Emotions, they convert into action. Emotions lead to action. No one can act. I began from there, right? Emotion is a big aspect of mindset. Emotions lead to action. We cannot act consciously. Whatever the emotional state, the same actions will follow. Action is not in our control. That is the prime reason of the knowing doing gap. Action is not in our control. We live in a myth. The system of just writing down action steps and going for the goal is absolutely miserable and pathetic system, because it does not work on conversion of emotions. When you get into that right emotional states, which allows the right action, it is only then you get the desired results. When you get into emotional state which does not allow the right action, what you get is undesired results, because you don't get into the right action. Action is a byproduct. I'm going to repeat this n number of times, because this is the message I want people to get loud and clear. Action is not in our control. It is a byproduct of the emotional state that we get into. I mean, with this example, like, I think it makes more sense, isn't it?
It makes sense, yes.
So whatever aspect of life, I mean, they know it all. I mean, every obese person knows what to do, but think of the emotional state. They actually don't want to do it. That's the emotional state they get into. Then how can they do it? Right. So that's how it works. It's so I mean, when it comes to business, I mean, you use the term business coaching.
Yeah.
Right? I actually don't do business coaching. I do business performance. I am a performance coach. I stop and do only performance. So a business is fit in 4 dimensions: physical fitness, mental fitness, emotional fitness, and spiritual fitness. Just like an individual, the business which fit in these 4 dimensions, the business performs better. I always ask businessmen, who works harder? Do you work harder than your business, or your business is working harder than you do? If your business is working harder than you do, you grow. That is the only one way you grow. So there are the same 4 aspects to a business. I'll give some very simple things to understand. When you talk of the physical fitness of the business, it is the right people in the right place, the right job descriptions. That's the HR part of it. That's physical fitness. That brings in the right structure of the organization. That makes the business physically fit. Right? And then there is a mental fitness of a business. This mental fitness of the business comes from delegating the right tasks to the right people. This mental fitness of the business comes from the vision of the businessman and how that vision has percolated in all the layers of the organization. The emotional fitness of the business is the readiness to take action of every person from top to bottom. That's the emotional fitness of the business. And the spiritual fitness of the business is the mission, is the purpose they work with. I'm keeping it very simple. There are more things into it. But when the purpose is bigger than you, you are spiritually fit. That's the basic, simple understanding of it. If the purpose is my money, my name, my fame, I am not spiritually fit. That's ego. If the purpose is helping people, if the purpose is adding value, so I always ask businessmen, what is the value you add in the life of your clients? Are you working with clients to make money, or are you working with clients to add value in their lives? When you start working to add value in lives of people, whatever business you are in, and when this philosophy percolates from top to bottom, the organization starts getting spiritually fitter. So every organization has the same 4-dimensional fitness model. I do the same thing. Okay. It is only sales coaching that I get into where I do something different than this. Yes, this is what I do, one aspect. But the other thing that I do with sales coaching is, yes, I've been into the corporate training field for like 27 years. Right. And I've been training salespeople for donkey years. Right. So that is one thing that I do, but I don't get more often into that aspect of work. I do that only for one reason, because that keeps me connected to the field. Mm-hmm. And I don't lose the skill that I have in terms of sales. That is the only one reason I keep on doing that, or else I wouldn't have been doing it. But there's only one area where I get into like many different things about sales, because sales, again, it begins with what is the value you add. If you are adding more value, you sell more. If you are adding less value, you sell less. And how do you convey that to your prospective buyer, that you are there to add value? If you go and tell them, yes, this is what I've come to do, he will not take you. He will not believe it. But there are ways of conveying this message.
Right.
And when the prospective buyers get that feel from within, that this person is here to add value in my life, you play a different ballgame. Right? So there is a lot that I do when I get into sales. But yes, again, the 4 fitness model for the team, the salespeople, the team of sales guys, is really crucial. So I work with that as well, along with the so many different aspects of sales. So I do the same thing, right?
Right, it is the same thing. I got your concept now, sir. Completely. Right. The same thing.
Yes.
Okay. So moving on to the next question. Okay.
Yes.
So as you're into peak performance and you're a coach in that part, and then even you've been a life coach, I suppose, for many years. So has any could you share some experiences of yours where youth have come to you and they're like, I have a life goal to achieve this or achieve that. And could you share a story or a particular kind of an incident that has taken place where you have helped this particular person who's come to you and said sir, mujhe ye karna hai life mein, mujhe ye banna hai. So can you please share a certain kind of example with where your interaction has been with a youth or an entrepreneur?
Fine. See, I'll begin with myself.
Yes.
Right. As you asked, there can be times where I could be down and I am maybe underperforming. See, the simple rule. The simple rule is I have a coach.
Mm-hmm.
Right. I coach people. I have added values in more than 100,000 lives. Right. I do a lot of open workshops. I do a lot of group coaching programs. A lot of one-on-one. Right. And corporate trainings 27 years. It have added value in more than 100,000 people lives. But once I got into coaching, the first decision was I must have a coach. So I had a coach working with me.
Okay.
Let me tell you something very simple. I have a few clients, I charge annual fees, for business performance, business growth, whatever you call it. So I charge annual fees to be paid in advance. And I've got 7 clients. I've been working with them for 8 years. The remaining keep on changing, but these 7 are the same for the last 8 years.
Okay.
At the end of every year, they ask me one question: what is it that you will be charging for the next 1 year? And I just see an X amount and they give me the check of that X amount. Because these people have realized that on their own, what they do is 10, 12, 15, 20%. When I work with them, what they do is 70, 80, 100, 150% in a year. So paying fees to a coach is peanuts. अरे मूंगफली भी नहीं, मूंगफली का छिलका होता है. compared to the value he can bring in into the life, into the business. Comparing it with the amount of growth which the coach can bring in. Yes, you need to identify the coach. That is the rule.
Definitely, sir.
But see, people who understand this, I tell you, I just say, like, I have like this many number of clients, like, who just ask me one question. I've been working with them for the last 8 consecutive years. The remaining of my clients, they keep on changing, but this, they are the same for 8 years. They just ask me this simple question: boss, ये अभी next year कितना लोगे? I say an X amount. They sign a check, X amount, हो गया. It's about the value, right? It's about understanding the fact. Coaching is the 3rd largest growing industry in the world. Why? Why? Because coaches add value.
It adds value, yes.
They help people grow faster than their speed of growth. Right? The average speed, the average MSME growth, this is global data, is 7 to 8% annual growth. Right? There are very few organizations who grow more than 7-8% annually. I mean, 9%, 10%, 15%, 20%. There are very few of them. Most of them, the growth is less than that. That is why this is a general average. 7-8%. 7 to 8% is considered global general average. Now understand this, my friend. If we talk of India, 6% is inflation. तो टर्नओवर 6% बढ़ता है ना, वो इन्फ्लेशन से बढ़ता है, ग्रोथ नहीं है. It's not growth. People
Right.
don't understand the difference between increase of turnover and growth. लोगों को ये गिनना नहीं आता है. Even their chartered accountants don't tell their clients, like, you have increased your turnover 9%, out of this 6% has been just inflation. So you are actually not growing. So chartered accountants also don't give this advice to their clients. And businessmen, they in any case don't have that sense or that understanding to identify this. This is the prime reason people struggle. They think they know it all. The fact is, they know nothing. They don't know even how to calculate profit. They don't know how to calculate growth. They count inflation in growth. 12% साल का बड़ा है तो उसमें 6% तो inflation है. Your power bill has increased, your raw material cost has gone up, your labor cost has gone up. This is all inflation. Inflation is 6% out of 10 or 12% that you are growing. They live in a myth that they are growing by 12%. I'm sorry. They don't know how to count growth. Inflation is not there in the horizon itself. पता ही नहीं है लोगों को. Make sense?
It makes sense, yes. Obviously, sir. Because inflation is like that demon that's behind. Shadows में चल ही रहा है.
And then how about counting the time invested?
Yeah.
No one does that.
No one
You are
does it,
investing your time doing your own business. What is the value of your time?
right?
Are you getting the return of investment of your time?
Right.
So for every businessman, their time has no value. And they get nothing out of their time invested. They just don't know. For this perspective to come into the business and their philosophy, there is no option but to have a coach. That is why coaching is the 3rd fastest growing industry in the world. Make sense?
It makes sense, obviously, sir. Because at the end of the day, every businessman, even if you have the greatest players, whether we talk about Ronaldo, MS Dhoni, or even anything, everyone has a coach. Obviously, even the greatest coach needs a coach. So at the end of the day, so you beautifully put it out over here that you require a business coach for your business. It's
That's very good. So now, like, for the last 7 years, 8 years almost, what I do is I attend 3 or 4 workshops every year.
Okay.
Every 3 or 4 months, I am out learning. I attend a 2-day workshop by different people. I just go out and learn. I go with a blank slate. I don't go with all the learning that I have, because every person has something good to offer. And for me to get that good thing, I need to go with a blank slate, not with all the learning that I already have in mind. So every year, 3 or 4 workshops is a rule for the last 8 years. And before that, I had a coach.
Okay.
So I operate the same way I tell people to do. So I actually don't coach or don't teach anything that I have personally not been doing or experienced. That's my way of being.
That's right,
Yes.
sir. So, but like, have you like encountered any kind of people in your career so far that everyone like comes up to you and says like, नहीं हम अपना धंधा अपना business चला लेंगे, तुम आके क्या करोगे? Have you like anytime come across with such people in your life?
this happens very frequently.
Okay.
Very frequently. This is like the same thing I keep on hearing n number of times. अभी 10 साल हो गया, अभी क्या सिखाओगे? अभी 15 साल हो गया, अभी क्या सिखाओगे? ठीक है, अभी ऐसा नया क्या है जो हमको नहीं आता है? अभी तो 20 साल से 18 साल से धंधा करते हैं. This is something that I keep on like getting from people. That's fine, and I tell them, मेरे को सिखाना थोड़ी है. I'm not here to teach anything. Write down 5 points. If I do this 5, my business doubles in a year. They write it down. ऐसे कर लो ना, कौन रोकता है?
सही बात है.
ठीक है, कर लो. You know it all. अब कर लो. अगर नहीं होता है, I can make sure कि ये हो जाए. So that is my area of work. My area of work is not downloading knowledge. My area of work is making sure that your execution goes to the next level. Growth lies only in execution going to the next level. This is a thumb rule. Absolute thumb rule. If your execution does not go to the next level, your growth can never go to the next level. So I have many people who have said this to me, and then they have been my clients because they realize, yes, I know it all, पर मेरे से होता कुछ नहीं है.
But like when you meet such people, sir, and then आप जैसे आप बता रहे थे the 4 aspects. So when they ask you, okay, like उन्होंने आगे आपने उनको बोल दिया 4 5, like you make them write everything. And I just want to understand this, sir. So when you explain them these 4 things, the physical, the spiritual, and so on, when you explain to them, how do they react? How is the reciprocation like?
See, this is I explain something more complex than this.
Okay.
I explain this from the philosophy which comes from yoga.
Okay.
There are only 3 philosophies of growth. Growth is because of philosophy, not because of product or service or quality. No, nothing. That has got nothing to do with it. The amount you grow and the money you make, it is directly proportionate to the philosophy you come from. Just like the laptop you are facing right now, it has an operational system, right?
Right.
We have an operating system. That operating system is the philosophy that we come from. So what is your philosophy? That's a big question. Your achievements will match your philosophy, nothing else. Not your product or quality or infrastructure or whatever. Not even your skills and talents and abilities. It will always match your philosophy. Because philosophy is the operating system. Philosophy determines the byproduct, which is action. It all begins from philosophy. Then it comes down to the emotional state now. And then comes action. Begins with, what is your philosophy? Right? So there are 3 philosophies of growth which comes from you. The first is I am the doer. This is the philosophy. I am the doer. Right? This philosophy comes from Karma Yoga. But the philosophy does not end here. The philosophy is whatever I do, consciousness or God is with me and supports me. This is the entire philosophy of Karma Yoga. This applies in every aspect of life. Whatever I do, my team supports me and helps me, and my team is with me. If you are a leader or a businessman, whatever I do, my spouse is with me, my spouse supports me in relationship. Whatever I do, my children are with me, my children supports me. This is a philosophy. So when you get into this philosophy, you continuously keep on growing. The second philosophy is Bhakti Yoga. That is the channel. I surrender. Whatever I do it for God. When I surrender, it implies that it is God's will that is getting manifested through me. I am the channel. I call it the channel mindset. This is the second philosophy of growth. The third philosophy of growth is Jnana Yoga. It's oneness. Me and God, we are one. Things happen just because of my presence. The same theory applies in every aspect of life. Channel philosophy is like whatever I do it for my team. Whatever I do it for my spouse. Whatever I do it for my children. And then comes the being state. Me and God are one. Me and my team are one. Kisne kiya kya farak padta hai? Things happen because of my presence. You come from that philosophy. Growth is about shifting this philosophy. And hardly 1% population of the world are any of this one philosophy. Whatever I do, my team is with me, my team supports me. That is the first level of this growth philosophy. On this level, there are hardly 1% population in the world. Then where are the rest?
Right.
Guy, makes sense?
It makes sense.
Philosophy is this is the basic first philosophy of growth.
Right.
Then where they are in the victim philosophy. They are victims. They are victims. They keep on complaining. They are victims. They keep on blaming. They are victims. They have a lot of fears and doubts. They are victims. They have a lot of judgments about themselves and others. They are victims. They have a lot of opinions about themselves and others. They are victims. So you can either come from a victim philosophy or empowered philosophy, which is either one of these three steps. Right. So what is your philosophy? And there are people, I take them through a questionnaire. It's a psychological questionnaire to identify philosophy. I do this in my all open workshops, and I make people realize that they are operating from a victim philosophy. No matter if they are doing a turnover of 100 crores or 200 crores, they are there from the victim philosophy. That is the only one reason they are stuck at that level, then they are not growing. Only one reason, there is no other reason on the face of this earth. So when they go through the question and they realize, oh my God, even though I'm doing 100, 200 crores, still I am a victim. I'm living a life of a victim. I am not living a life of an empowered person. So this takes some time for the other person to understand that this is a more complex way of working and making the other person realize. But once people realize there is no third philosophy. One is a victim philosophy, the other is an empowered philosophy. What is your philosophy? That determines your growth and your quality of life. Nothing else on the face of this earth. Because this is what Bhagavad Gita says. And there is nothing out of it. Whatever happens, wherever, in any part of the world.
Right.
That's my take on it. So there are only three philosophies of growth. Well-defined philosophies of growth. Absolutely well-defined. Where the first is, whatever I do, my team is with me, my team supports me. Hardly 1% population on this level. Then comes the next level. Whatever I do it for my team. And then comes the third level of philosophy. Me and my team are one. Things happen just because of my presence. So when I get into annual coaching, I execute these philosophies in the organization. That is why I have clients who just ask me, sir, next year, kitna paisa loge? I say, kitna lunga? Aur check aata hai. Because they have experienced this shift. This is the only one way to growth. People who get into this philosophy by chance, they keep on growing. This is called luck, good luck. And people who are by default, by chance, not able to get into this philosophy, they get stuck. This is called bad luck. In the next 6 months, there is a book, hopefully will get published. The title is Create Your Luck. And I have almost completed it.
Definitely, sir. We will be waiting.
We live in a system of default. We live in a system of default. People fall in this system of default somewhere. And their philosophy changes by default. So we live in a system of luck. For some people, that's good luck. And for most people, it is bad luck. Because they are not using this system of default to their advantage. Because they don't know that they fall in a system of default. This is what life is all about. And if I put it from the perspective of neuroscience, now I'll come from the yoga to neuroscience. They both are the same, I tell you. I don't have the time, but if I have like 5 hours, I'll keep on talking yoga and keep on talking neuroscience. Every concept which comes from yoga and every concept which comes from neuroscience, they are the same.
Okay.
Right. So what they say is brain is a data processor, processes information. Right. So how much data does the brain process? That's a big question. So there are two schools of thoughts. I'll go with one. Right. What they say is brain processes 400 billion bits of information every second.
Right.
That's humongous. 400 billion bits of information every second is being processed by every human brain, healthy human brain. If we get aware of this, we go insane. Ye data itna sara hai na, we don't have that capability to handle it if we get aware of it. So what is the conscious awareness? That comes the big question. Research says our conscious awareness is only 2000 bits. Kitna?
Those are
2000 bits.
Yes.
Right? Out of 400 billion bytes of information that the brain is processing. We know nothing. Action is the byproduct of the processing that the brain is doing, and we don't know what it is doing. Our achievement is the byproduct of the processing that the brain is doing, and we don't know what it is doing. It is a system of default. People who use this processing to their advantage by default, they keep on growing. That's good luck. People who use this processing to their disadvantage by default, and they get stuck. They keep on feeling. This is called bad luck. Nothing else. It's about learning how to tap into this processing that the brain does to advantage so that you keep on growing. So you need to tap into that system of default and start using to advantage. It's the same, which I said from the yogic philosophy. Now I'm talking of the same from the perspective of neuroscience, because this is going to process the processing. What is the operating system? It is philosophy, my friend. I begin from there and I'm closing it there. The operating system is the philosophy that determines your growth, your achievement, your quality of life, nothing else. Make sense?
It makes complete sense. Complete sense.
Yes.
Yes. Adding to that, sir, so as you said, one is the empowerment mindset and the other one is a victim mindset. So
yes.
Can a person who has an empowering mind become a victim mindset as time passes?
Yes.
How does that happen?
Because see, let me tell you, no one can live either in the victim mindset or the empowered mindset 24/7. We keep on moving to and fro, from victim to empowered, empowered to victim, back to empowered, back to victim, back to the doer mindset, back to victim, go to the channel mindset to victim, even the being state, go back to victim. So we keep on going to and fro. Your amount of achievement depends on which mindset you live in more often and how fast you can bounce back from the victim mindset. The question is which mindset you live more often in. That's one question. And the second question is, what is more intense, the victim mindset or the empowered mindset? Even if you live in the empowered mindset more often, let's say you live in the empowered mindset 23 hours and 55 minutes in the day, and you are in the victim mindset only for 5 minutes. What if the intensity of this 5 minutes is more than intensity of the empowered mindset, which is for 23 hours? The result will match the intensity, which is more. It's a system of default. We need to tap into it and start using it to advantage. It just happens. And we don't know how it is happening. It is the processing that the brain does. Aur humko kuch nahi pata. We know nothing, actually. So out of 500 billion bytes, 400 billion bytes of our awareness is 2000 bytes. Now in percentage, that is 0.000000005%. That's zero. We know nothing. We have to make a life out of it. We know nothing. We have to make a career out of it. We know nothing. We have to raise kids. We know nothing. We have to achieve our dreams. And we know nothing. This is a fact of life. It's a system of default. People live in a myth that I know. I'm sorry. No one knows nothing. in terms of what the brain is processing. And your result matches exactly. It replicates the processing that the brain is doing. It's a system of default. It's not about the knowledge you have. Sorry.
Right.
We all live in a myth. It's about what the brain is doing with that knowledge. How is it processing the information using the same knowledge? Whether the processing is being done to your advantage or to your disadvantage, it is happening by default. We live in a system of default. And we live in a myth, मैंने किया. बस कोई कुछ कर नहीं सकता है. Only thing we can do is we can learn and take charge of how the brain is processing the information and use it to advantage. This is the one thing in our control, in our hands. Yes.
Okay. All right. So, like coming to the end, sir, of the professional journey, I have last two questions to ask you as time constraint, and then we hop on to the personal one. So, my second last question is going to be: so now it's almost been like 2 decades since you're like a peak performance coach. Okay. When you have entrepreneurs walk up to you and with their companies, and when you ask them for the 4 aspects that come into it. And these are obviously like the budding new generation where we have the Gen Zs and millennials and everyone who come up to you. How do you make them understand that the concepts what you have derived or what you have has been there all along, but no one has able to see it? How do you convey them, like, or try to tell them that this is it? How do you focus on that, sir?
Simple. It's about talking to people.
Mm-hmm.
So I have a very simple system of doing a lot of talks.
Mm-hmm.
I get invited to n number of places, and I keep on talking to audiences. I do free workshops, absolutely workshops for free, short 2-3 hour workshops on different topics. Come learn, experience a shift in the mindset, take that shift and start growing. I do it for absolutely free. And if people telling me like, I mean, this is the type of shift I couldn't like get in 2 hours of workshop that I've done earlier, and you delivered in just 2 hours, in just 3 hours. I said, fine, enjoy the shift and use it to advantage. So I just give away things, right? And when people experience stuff, they realize, my God, this man makes a lot of sense. It is not about my skills, my talents. It is about my mindset. It is about my philosophy. And then they are my clients. And then I have a group program where I work with a group of 10, 12, 15 people at a time. This is called execution mastery. Execution mastery is 2 levels. It is a 12-week program. And then once they go through this and they want to go beyond that, then I have a program, again, a 12-week program. It is called Habit of Full Potential. And a full potential, I mean, everything is a habit, right? Everything is a habit.
It is.
Then operating from full potential also has got to be a habit, which can be learned, practiced, and mastered. So I do this group program, which is called Habit of Full Potential. That's the second level, which comes after execution mastery. And people who go through this and they feel like I need more than this. Like ये देने वाले लोग इस दुनिया में नहीं है, मैं वो देने के बाद भी लोग ये फील करते हैं, ये भी तो इससे ज्यादा आदमी दे सकता है. They get into one-on-one coaching.
Okay.
ठीक है. Because cultivating a habit of full potential, ये सोच ही नहीं है. I have not come across coaches who have that thought process of developing a habit of full potential. You just keep on growing when you start tapping into that potential. It just happens because growth and action is a byproduct. It happens and it just keeps on happening. If you look at your life and you look at something good that, some good growth that you had, you see it happen. It just happened, like you never focused on it. It just happened. So you got into that mindset. I said, we just keep on going to and fro. It just happens because you get into that mindset. Only thing in our control is getting into that mindset and tapping into that system of default. Use it to advantage. That is what we can actually do. Learn, practice, and master. Yes.
Okay. So when we talk about like practice and having the proper mindset, so for you as a profession, like a professional person who's like teaching people about this, how do you keep your mindset focused?
I said, see, I said I do three or four workshops every year. Every third or month, I am out there attending a workshop. I don't think whether the workshop leader is a junior or a senior or whatever. I just have the philosophy: is this person is leading a workshop, he has that potential to give me something. I just pay my fees and attend it once in every 3 or 4 months. I've been doing it for the last 8 years.
Okay.
Right? Attending a workshop, like even if there is nothing new which is at offer, but see, it's like if your system, your computer is not doing good, it's slow down. What you do is you have a refresh button.
Right.
So going for a workshop for me is a refresh button. वो refresh button किधर है? We are just like a computer. We have an operating system, but we don't have a refresh button like a computer.
Right.
So what is that refresh button? Go and attend a workshop every 3-4 months. That is like a refresh button. It charges you. You come back with renewed energy, with more intense focus. It's a must. There is no other option, I tell you. Either you do that or you hire a coach. Period.
All right.
So there are two ways of growing for businessmen. Every business, they grow by trial and error.
Right.
This is a fact. Around the world, they keep on doing trial and error day in, day out, every day, throughout the year, throughout their business career. ये किया नहीं हुआ, अब ये करते नहीं हुआ, अभी ये करते ये हो गया. Then some more thing is a system of trial and error, and people who grow, by chance their trial and error was good. That's good luck. For the rest, the trial and error was not good. That's bad luck. No, there are two ways. This is one way of growing. You continue doing that, or you learn how to grow. Hire a coach. There are only two ways. There is no third way possible.
There is no third way. Yes.
Makes sense.
It did make sense, obviously. So my silence speaks for itself. Like you're mesmerized me in such a way. Like I'm like clean boiled. I'm like, okay, this man is making so much sense. Like normally on the conversations, like we have to poke people to speak. Okay, but like, sir, your theories are like crazily like so true. So I'm like just mesmerizing the moment and taking the information in, sir.
Honestly, this information again. See, what I talk is yoga, and what I talk is pure neuroscience.
Yes.
Right, and it is totally new. When it is totally new and it comes in and it hits hard, it actually hits hard, because I come from the ancient Indian wisdom, which is considered to be absolute. But I talk of the same thing from the perspective of neuroscience, which is absolutely new, and they both are the same, my friend. When it hits hard, that is when this thing comes up. Like it's like mesmerizing. What was that? But I mean, it's not mesmerizing. It is something that hit you hard. It made a lot of sense.
It did. It absolutely did, sir. That's why I'm just wondering. So, like 6 months back, I don't know when your book is releasing, but I'm definitely one of the buyers who's going to buy it for sure.
That's fine.
All right. So that was the end of the professional journey. I'll now ask Jolly Singh to continue with the personal journey. So we have heard a lot about your professional life, sir, about all your theories. So now the audience will be definitely waiting to jump into your personal life. So over to you, Jolly.
Sure.
Yes.
Thank you so much, Mansoor. After listening to talk sir for such a long time and hearing his experiences and insights, I'm like very much sure how I want to hire sir as one of my coaches to guide me through my career right now. I'm very intrigued. So sir, let's move on to your personal journey. I also, and I'm sure our viewers also want to understand that how you have like come to this point of your life after like you have 27 years of experience gaining and through like ups and downs and experiencing and teaching and learning at every stage of your life. So sir, as you mentioned that you have helped you have helped many people overcome the victim part and like pushing them into the empowerment part and everything through the low points. So as you work in diverse sectors and there's always ups and downs, how do you deal with your own ups and downs? I'm very sure that you must have your own ups and downs. You are a coach, but you आपके पास भी ऐसे मोमेंट्स होते होंगे लाइफ में जब it's very tough at times in life.
Right. Yes, it is. It is really tough at times in life. But see, there are some very simple rules to follow. When I am down, there are times like everyone has those times when they are down and then they are back and then they are down and then they are back. Right? It is a continuous thing which happens. See, something very simple things that I do, and I would like everyone to do this simple thing because they work wonders. One thing I do is whenever I down, I change my place. I change the location. Right. The first step is again to be aware that I am down. And when people just keep on flowing with it without getting aware of it, now that shouldn't happen. The first step is getting aware that I am down. That's what I get into, and that I change my location. That's a rule. And the moment I tell you, you change your location, your mindset changes. It's that simple. It's that simple.
The biggest thing.
Right. Other thing that I do is I call a school friend. Like I have many school friends I'm connected with still, even today. In my mobile, I must be having like around 32 numbers, all school friends. Right. I call one of my school friends. And once you at the age of 53, you're talking to your school friend, even at your age, when you talk to your school friend, it's like amazing, isn't it? It's so simple. यार फोन उठाओ, अपने लाइक उस दोस्त से बात करो ना जिसके साथ चट्टी में घूमते थे, जिसके साथ बहुत सारी बदमाशियां की है, उससे बात करो यार. Your mindset changes. So simple thing to do. Isn't that simple?
Very simple, sir.
Your mindset changes and you are no longer down, like you are back. So simple, isn't it?
Yes, sir. I mean, it's very tough. The way you are putting it so beautiful, it seems so simple that yeah, you can get on with your life and carry on with your work so easily.
That's right. It is
so easy, sir. Yeah. Sir, also like we have seen that you are working when you are working on something which you appreciate, you give all of your effort, you give your best. So what encourages you, like what motivates you all the time to do so, to give your best all the time?
Fine. See, because my focus, my point of focus is adding value always. And when I'm always focused on adding value, I have to keep on going. There is no other option. Actually, there is no option. It's a philosophy you come from. Philosophy is an operating system I just mentioned. From the yogic perspective, from the modern neuroscience perspective. So what is the philosophy you come from? My philosophy is simple. I always work to add value. Every time I sit with a client, my focus is adding value. My focus is adding value. I keep on going. It's simple. What is the philosophy you come from? The outcome always matches it. This is a thumb rule. So the focus is very clear, very precise, very concise. My focus is to add value. That is what I begin with. And then I identify the area where I can add value. And then I start working on that area. And I actually am able to add value. And when I add value, I see an amazing smile on the face of the person I work with. Right? And this smile always keeps me going. There's so many different things. I don't focus on my performance. I focus on adding value, and then my focus is the smile. My focus is never what I do. When the focus is what you do, you get frustrated. This is a rule. which has to be followed.
Yes, sir. So also then when now is the time when everybody is in rush all the time, and we know that a good time management plays a very key role uh, in which helps us in maintaining a very good life and sailing us through that rush time and the difficult time. So as you work in different sectors and everything, how do you work with that time management? Because time management is something which can sail you through, but also at the same time can
Right. Very true.
लेके डूब सकता है आपको.
See, time management, I tell you something, this is very funny. My way of looking at time is very unique, very different than the entire world. See, time management is a symptom. Understand what I say and try to absorb it. Time management is a symptom, and there is a cause to it. Time management is not the cause. Right? The entire world is trying to work and correct the symptom without going to the cause of it. This is the biggest challenge with time. The cause is focus, lack of focus, and lack of self-discipline. These are the two causes because of which people are not able to manage time. So please, don't work on managing time because that is a symptom. Start working on the cause. When you change the cause, the symptom changes. It is a byproduct. So it's about working on the cause, not the changes. The entire world is working in the wrong place. That is how I look at it. When you work on improving your focus, when you work on improving your discipline, time management just happens. When you work on your focus, you start identifying your priorities. The biggest challenge is people don't know what their priorities are. Focus is absolutely missing. And when the focus is missing, how can someone manage time? It's not possible. So please don't work on the symptom, work on the cause. When you improve the cause, the symptom just changes and your time starts falling in place. It happens. It is a byproduct. That's how I work with it for myself, and that's how I help my clients work with it. And it always falls in place. Time always falls in place when there is focus and discipline in place, because that is the only two causes to it.
Yes, sir. That is one of the most important tips for all the youths who have just started on with their careers. And because time management is something which people keep focusing on, that how it is going to shape your career in coming years.
That is very true. See, time is very tricky. I mean, see, what are your priorities? That is the first question that a person needs to answer, whatever age. What are your priorities? See, I come from a very simple way of looking at world. I am my first priority. So my time revolves around me. Some people say that this is selfish. I say this is not selfish. If I am my first priority, I work on my well-being. I work on my health. I work on my mental, emotional, spiritual fitness. Why? Because I am my first priority. And if I live for long just because of this, I'll be able to fulfill all the rest of my priorities for a longer period of time. If I'm not in good health, how can I be of utility either to my family or to my clients? How can I add value? So I have got to be my first priority. People don't know what is the priority, what has to be priority, and how to set priorities. The first question that any person needs to answer is, what are my priorities? Get into that. Your time management will begin from that, answering that question. Once you put that in place, you know what to do. Till the time you actually don't know what to do. And then people struggle with time. It has to happen.
So actually now it's thought of the day for me and all. I'm sure for our viewers also, that make yourself priority first and then the rest will fall into place on its own. So moving on to the next question, as you are a percussionist and have performed across, what role music plays in relieving your stress? How, if not music, in like for an instance, how you relieve your stress?
Right. See, music is one of the biggest stress buster. There is no bigger stress buster than music. And again, I will call this my good luck, because my father was really fond of it, and I never wanted to study any percussion, learn any percussion, but he forced me to do that. And when I began at the age of 7, like I was literally struggling, and I hated my dad for that. But eventually, over years, I realized that what a wonderful thing this has happened. That my dad actually forced me into becoming a percussionist. So I've performed live in more than 300 concerts with 9 different percussion instruments. Right. I'm no longer on the stage, but yes, on and off, like at least three times a week. Like yes, I back at home, like I have a few instruments, and like I enjoy, playing rhythm. I enjoy percussion.
Great, sir. So also like while talking to Mansoor, you have like been constantly for emphasizing on the importance of physical fitness and mental fitness and soul fitness. So my last question would be that what sports mean to you, and do you have any favorite sport that you like to play and watch and chill with?
Fine. See, again, music and sports. These two are the biggest stress busters. The biggest ever stress busters. Again, dancing is one of them. That these three are amazing stress busters. Right. Sports, yes, I has a big place in my life. I play table tennis daily, 1 hour in the morning. 7 to 8 is my table tennis time. I let go of a few clients in the US because they want the same time slot. I don't do anything else because I am my first priority. 7 to 8 is my time for me to play table tennis. Right. So I participate in lot of tournaments. I play in tournaments organized by the Federation, Table Tennis Federation of India, in the 49 plus age group. So even like on in this month, like 30th October, 1st and 2nd October, like I'm supposed to participate in a tournament, which is happening in, fortunately this time in my city, that is Ahmedabad. So I will not need to travel for this. So again, I am playing a tournament like in the next like 3 days. So sports is amazing, I tell you. It ensures your fitness. It builds your stamina. It builds your resilience. When you play a competitive sport, it builds your resilience, because resilience is so important to keep on going. So playing a racket sport or a sport where you have an opponent with whom you are actually competing, that builds your resilience, that builds your fighting spirit. It helps in n number of different ways. So sports is a big aspect, big part of my life, and I'm into it daily, day in, day out. Yes.
Thank you so much, sir. It was great knowing you personally as well as professionally. Now I would like to uh, invite Mansoor for further conversation.
Right.
All right. So the next, like the last segment, what we have currently with us, it is like you have to choose something and you have to answer why. Okay. Okay,
Okay.
sir. So, all right. So given back the time, like you could go back in time and meet that one person who you want to meet, who would be and why?
I think that would be my father, because he left us when I was in my school.
Okay.
And sir, like
And,
if you
Yeah, Yeah.
If you, yes, sir, please complete your answer and then I'll have a follow-up question. So
Yes,
sorry.
and the other person which comes to my mind. So there are two people which came to mind. One was the first was my dad, because he passed away when I was in my school, and the other person was this girl who was with me in my 11th standard in Mumbai. That was college, like 11th is college, right? So like I have this even today. Like if I get a chance to meet her again, that would be so amazing.
Sir, and like my follow-up question would be, if you are given a chance to travel in future, then what would you like to, what time you would like to travel and what would you like to do?
Okay, in the future, like I never think of the future honestly. Now you have asked me a question and you are making me think about it. So let me say, see if it is my future, I want to think about it, then probably I would like to go on the deathbed where I'm about to die, and there are people around me and I'm telling them that I did everything that I intended to do. There is nothing left to do, and I'm happy living this world. So that is that one aspect of future. It just came to my mind because I thought about it. Because I never think of the future. I take life as it comes, and I keep on going.
All right. Okay. So then we come to the last question. Okay. So,
Yes.
so if you would not be a coach today, okay, what would be the other profession that you would be today?
Then I would have been a percussionist. Simple. 100%. Because I have already been there, and like more than 300 live concerts I have been a part of. Eventually I left it because I never had the time to do that. I got involved in business activities and stuff. So like I chose business over percussion. But then came a stage in my life when I decided no more business, I'll do what I just love doing. And I got into performance coaching. If it was not performance coaching, I would have gone back to percussion, that's for sure.
All right. That is great. Jolly, anything from your end? Any question?
No, Mansoor, that will be all from my side as well.
All right. All right. Thank you, Mithilesh sir, for doing this with us. It was really great and awesome conversation for you. And definitely are waiting for your book. Please do update us once it comes out, so we can go ahead.
Thank you so much for inviting. Bye-bye.
It was great talking to you, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Take
Bye,
care.
sir.